This Denny said that the Miami attorney is big bucks, maybe not near or a little more than Mr. Gummy, but Miami has probably a gazillion deputy attorneys. They're not going to have one attorney covering Miami and that metropolis. But let's move on to another topic now. I think we've addressed that. Mr. Kennedy, a woman, her family made a 911 call. She was having an asthma attack. I have asthma. I have my inhaler right here. 30-something minutes. It wasn't that they were in another part of the county and they just took their time. It was an issue of dispatch from the regional communications to the county or whatever. Your fire chief then, this woman died. She ended up with a heart attack or something because it progressed. Your fire chief was severely reprimanded for transporting another victim whose life would probably have been gone too. What does that say about the bureaucracy of public government and the fact that you're now, and talk a little bit about the test pilot that you're with, but first, what does that say about the government that a woman will die and firefighters can't do anything?
Well, I think that says it all. It's politics before people. I've been on the council for just a few short years, but I wasted no time in making the relationships in the county level and the fire rescue personnel to bring people together, to put aside those differences, to put customer service first. We just ratified our ordinance in Edgewater on Monday night, and it'll be on the county agenda, I think this Thursday, where they've offered Edgewater and Ponce Inlet a pilot program to reestablish our privileges as transporters. So when you have an issue, you need medical transport to the hospital in Edgewater, the first on the scene are the local municipalities, and that's the same everywhere. New Smyrna, Port Orange, Ponce Inlet. 9 times out of 10, the local municipality fire rescue guys get there first. They're just located closer. EVAC is stretched thin. So now, having worked with the folks in the county, we got a 7-0 vote from the county council to offer this program. It took somebody who was willing to reach out to both sides, fire rescue, the county council, every single member, the county manager's office, and it took several meetings and discussions to put aside those mistrusts, because you can imagine how the communication broke down after having these reprimands, and there's lawsuits that were attached to the first victim, you said. So now, with the new program, you won't have to wait for that service anymore. And I hope that the county extends that program, offers that program to any other city within the county to offer that. Now, the county's motivation was cost savings,
right?
And I get that.
But did they bite off more than they could chew and realize we've got to dump this again?
There's no doubt about it. I mean, EVAC was every year asking for $1.5 million, $2 million subsidy. This year they wanted $4 million. And going into next year's budget, they're taking $1.5 million out of the general fund to continue to fund, so the subsidy still continues.
Mr. Hathaway, you have vast experience, I think it's unquestioned, with Florida League of Cities, Volusia League of Cities. You've done your travels. Why is it that the county immediately to our south, Brevard, with Titusville, Mims, even Cocoa, why is it always Sanford, Orlando, Oviedo? What about the natural straight down the road? Do you see enough of that, and would you push for that?
I need a little clarification on what the question is.
In other words, for regional economic development partnerships, like you're looking for businesses and things to relocate. What about the direct route right down? If it's District 3, it seems to me you only go up to Port Orange, you go down to Mims and Titusville. So would that be one of the things that you'd be looking at?
Well, absolutely. I mean, you can see what's happening just to the south of us at the Space Center. I mean, my goodness gracious, they're creating engineering jobs, and who better knows how much money an engineer makes than the father of one. I have a son who's a professional engineer, so I know exactly that they're great paying jobs, and we would love to see that migrate back up to New Smyrna Beach.
And a lot of those people live here.
But the reality of it is, back in the 60s, when the space program was at its heyday, all these engineers and folks lived in New Smyrna Beach and in Edgewater area. That's where they lived, and then they traveled down to Titusville every morning. I mean, I have a neighbor across the street who was retired from the Cape Canaveral system. So, yeah, it's a great interconnect, and yes, it should be. Yes, the Volusia League of Cities should do everything it can to tie with our groups to the south and see what kind of partnerships we can arrange, and it makes a whole lot of sense.
Ms. Denny's, Mr. Kennedy is midway through his first term. Mr. Hathaway is nearing the end of his gazillionth term. You have been out of the loop, excuse the term, the loop, but you have been out of the loop for, what, since school board back in, 96, 94. What do you do to convince the voters, and this has been an accusation that you're still relevant? I know it's a tough question, but I'm putting it out there.
It's not a tough question. And I don't know about gazillion, but if you want to use those terms, I think I have been doing...
No, you're not you gazillion, Mr. Hathaway gazillion.
You got to laugh here, Henry. I don't think term in elected office or age or involvement in the community at the business, professional, or volunteer or elected level is a criteria on whether or not you've got the skills that it's going to take to represent the citizens of Volusia County. With my background in business administration, chairing organizations, building collaboration around the state with the early learning coalitions and in the community, that's an asset. And here's the difference. I haven't been paid for that. I did it because it's who I am, what I know, and what I do, and I love my community. So to use that as a springboard to further serve the citizens of Volusia County, I don't think that age should be a relevant issue at all. Hopefully I still got a few good years.
What I meant, I didn't mean age. What I meant by that, what I meant was not being part of the electoral process where there was a gap in it. That's what I meant. Wasn't insulting
That could
your
be a
age.
good thing. I mean, it
Fresh set of eyes.
depends who you're talking to. That could be a very good thing, but I don't think I'm out of the loop. I may not have access to all the current information and data as a seated city commissioner or somebody involved in a process like that. That goes to be understood. But as far as the abilities and the business background to accomplish and represent the citizens, I'm in the loop.
Just to clarify for the audience, I didn't say she was in the loop, out of the loop. Her opponents have, so I wanted to put that out there.
That's okay.
One more question for Mr. Kennedy, and then we'll turn it over to the audience, and I apologize if you're chomping at the bit. Over here is Mr. Gibson, and next to him is Ms. Hyatt. They went through a very traumatic experience last year with losing their police department. It was something where it was just too far gone, and they seem to be pretty happy with the sheriffs. How long can Edgewater hold on to its police force? Mr. Hathaway, how long can New Smyrna Beach hold on to its? And Ms. Denny's, and collectively, with the pensions and the salary increases, how long can these communities hold on to these police forces before we have a county-wide force? Do we need one? You first, you second, you third.
I hope
Quickly.
Edgewater and New Smyrna Beach and all the other cities hold on to their police force as long as they can. I've said before that each one of our cities has its unique individual style. We talked the other night about home rule. There's all kinds of things that make each city different. And the public servants and the people that work in the departments that serve those cities are no different. Edgewater has, I think we have a great police force. Sure, it costs money, but what doesn't? I would hope that every municipality, I understand Oak Hill had some unfortunate circumstances and is not the case with every city. I understand that the sheriff...
Well, I think with Oak Hill, though, to be fair to them, I think a lot of it was the issue of not being able to pay decent salaries, and you get what you can get. Mr. Hathaway, do you think as a county councilman, you would be in a better position to argue for sheriff's patrol down here with the guarantee that the personnel here would be absorbed into that because the county has a larger fund?
I would push more for the sheriff's office to take over the beach patrol. I think that that's a more appropriate venue. I don't think that Volusia County needs to have two police forces within its own jurisdiction. I believe also in home rule. I'm a strong believer in home rule. I've believed in home rule ever since I've been on the city commission, that each city has the right to make that determination as to how they want to govern themselves and how they want to have whatever kind of force, police force, what have you, fire and so on. You know, we recently just went from the RCC, which is the Regional Communications Center here in Port Orange, New Smyrna, Edgewater, and Ponce Inlet, to a centralized dispatch system. Now, it has saved money. New Smyrna Beach is going to be the benefactor of about $300,000 in this next coming fiscal budget because of it. There has been some downsides. To every plus, there's always a negative. The negative side has been there's been dropped 911 calls, and there have been, and the county's freely admitted it. We've had vehicles go to the wrong location, and it happened several times. And I've sat down with the sheriff's office, and we've sat down and had discussions about that they need to be corrected. They need to make sure when a 911 call is placed that it's not dropped, and two, that they know exactly where they're going. The other thing that was lost in the transition, New Smyrna Beach and the other cities had a 10-year, basically, information system on their computer of who has been arrested and why they've been arrested and what the issues are. So as soon as they pull somebody over, they can bring it up on their computer and know. Right. That system is no longer in existence, so that information has been wiped out.